All right, good afternoon, everyone. We would like to welcome you to our Fall 2020 Higher and Post-Secondary Education Applied Project poster session. Thank you all for being here. First, we'd like to, of course, welcome our presenters and our graduate students who will be sharing with you all shortly about some of the work that they've done over the last 15 weeks, although in many cases for many of our students, this represents a longer engagement with the topic, whether it's through their own professional careers or through practicum experiences. But what this culminating project will give you an opportunity to do is to learn a little bit more about the things that they've been able to research and gather data on and share findings related to critical and timely issues within higher and post-secondary education context. I should have started by saying my name is Kia McGuire. I'm an associate professor in the higher and post-secondary education program. My gender pronouns are he, him, and his. Um, and I would also like to acknowledge the ancestral homelands of the Acme, Atham, and Peepash peoples' lands, which we all are working from and learning on. And so I would like to start by simply sharing a little bit about the program and more importantly, where this project fits within that within students' learning experiences. And then I'll turn it over to my colleague, Dr. McIntyre, who will share a little bit more about the floor of the events for today. Again, our higher and post-secondary education program is an opportunity and a learning experience that's really geared to prepare professionals to work in a variety of contexts on college and university campuses. One of the things that has become a core identity of our program has been the process by which we help and work alongside students as they learn ways to gather data, analyze data, all in the service of improving higher education practice and policy wherever they may be located. And so this applied inquiry or applied project, that poster session that you see here today is a culmination of a 15-week exercise or experience. During the first 7.5 weeks, our students have an opportunity to design a project. Of course, these projects are oftentimes very ambitious, and over our 15 weeks, we are able to pare it down into something that is not only manageable, but that will be impactful with the data that they're able to gather. And then in this session B of the semester, students are able to carry out their research project. And we'll get a little bit towards this at the end of the session today when we give some thank yous, but you should know this represents not only the work of our students and the faculty who are in the classroom, but also a number of mentors who sign up to work with students along and help give feedback on their projects as they're being designed and carried out. So we look forward to you all engaging with our students today, asking them questions, learning about their research, and hopefully having a very invigorating conversation. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Dr. McIntyre, who will say a little bit more about how the rest of the afternoon will be spent.
Thank you. Hi there. My name is Lisa McIntyre. I am an executive director in the University Provost Office at ASU and teach in the Master in Higher Ed program. The applied project is one of my favorite classes because, as Dr. McGuire said, this is about the topics that the students are most interested in. And so I always learn a lot about topics that I maybe don't get exposure to on a regular basis. So I hope all our guests have that same experience. Our students will be presenting in small breakout rooms of 3 to 4 folks. Dr. McGuire is going to put a link in the chat where you can find the Zoom breakout room link for the individual that you're here to support or the breakout room that you're most interested in. They are grouped by topics. We ask that you mute your microphones. You're all doing a great job of that if you're not the one presenting. We will present in order of the link that Dr. McGuire just shared. There will be a facilitator in the room to just kind of make sure all the technical pieces go right. They will be recorded sessions. We also ask that you hold all your questions until all of the presentations in your breakout room are complete, and then we'll open up that session for questions. We do encourage you to ask questions. These folks are experts on this topic and have spent a lot of time and energy becoming experts. And so this is a great opportunity for them to answer any questions that you might have. Once all the presentations in your breakout room are complete, we ask you to come back to this main session room for us to wrap up the program. So with that, Dr. McGuire, anything I missed or you want to add before we break out?
Nope, that's it. And please reach out to us for any questions that you might have. Dr. McIntyre and I will be moving from room to room. I see that I just got a message in the chat asking, can individuals move from room to room? Yes, as long as you're not a presenter. So all of our guests beyond the students are able to again move as you would like to bounce around to hear different topics of conversation and discussion. And so again, at this time, we'll give folks about 5 to 7 minutes to make your way over to your rooms. For our students who are on the call, again, look at the sheet as well so that you can go to the room that you will be in. And yeah, I think that's it for now. So thank you and welcome all again.
Hi everyone. So today I'm talking about a descriptive study I did for mathematics and statistics in tutoring centers. So I wanted um, to see and understand more of what concepts do ASU students come to ask help for while they're getting tutoring for math and statistics. And to be able to give recommendations of what concepts should be focused on to creating videos and handouts and trainings going forward to help students outside the classroom. So my research questions was what concepts do students come in seeking help for algebra, uh, calculus, and statistics concepts throughout a semester? And what do students come in seeking out more for some concepts over others, or is it kind of even? And and the data I got was secondary data from the University Academic Test Programs fall 2019. And typically how it worked that semester is a student would come in and for help and for them to ask a question, they filled out a Q form, what's a Google form. And it asks name, class, and what concept they wanted to be helped in. Within fall 2019, there was 64,291 questions submitted within the old department. So when I got the data, I had to clean the data so it could make sense for what I was looking for. So I turned the dates of the questions being submitted into what week of the semester it came in, because I wanted to be able to normalize, see what are the trends throughout the semester, but I didn't want 114 x-axis values. Then I did subject. I wanted to be very specific, but also kind of broad, for I could see overall what centers see the most of what concepts and subjects. So there was one that was a little more broad of science, algebra, calculus, engineering, and one that was a little more specific to what the class was. If it was cause algebra, calc 2. And then I had to clean the concepts. The concepts, when they came for the students, are an open and form where they can type in whatever they want. So to organize the concepts, I put into 3 categories. You have the higher order concepts that were what I'd classify as like functions, derivative, that is major, what I would consider as chapters in books. Then a little more specific of like linear, power rule, that can be grouped within each of the higher order. And then extra information, because some students would put in that they're working on homework, they're working on a review, they're working specifically on a chapter and a section number. So I wanted to see if there was any correlations. With looking at this, I also decided to only look at most of the 102 level math classes, what is the algebra and calculus classes. I also wanted to look at interscholastic statistics classes, and mostly because I thought those were the concepts that we would see the most of. I also narrowed it down to the 6 smallest centers within the University Academic Success Programs. In the fall 2019, there was 11 centers. So I was looking at centers that saw less than 400 questions in the semester. Sure. But led to 8,333 questions I looked at. That got expanded a little bit because some students put in multiple concepts into one question. So it ended up to be almost 10,000 questions I looked at. And then when I was looking at the concepts and wanting to share the information, I only really focused on the concepts that I saw 500 questions or more. With all this data, I did a quantitative study looking at frequency of questions coming. So I made a lot of frequency tables and cross-stat tables and made visualizations to show what's going on. And here's some what I found. For the centers I looked at, I want to see how many total questions came in and how many questions I was looking at to see the difference. I also want to see how often students use the centers on a weekly basis. So these are these first two charts. Then I wanted to look at subjects. First, subjects by centers. And I'm specifically with these graphs are looking at the 4 areas subjects that I looked at. Algebra, calculus, mixed math, which is usually their algebra, statistics, and other math, or calculus, statistics, and more math. They're kind of a build on mix of all concepts in one semester. It's really fascinating. So being able to see, okay, what's going on. Downtown is business, healthcare, and communications. They're 3 biggest degree programs. And so their center is very science-based. So you only see a little math in those centers downtown. Online tutoring center that semester, any ASU student could use them. So we got a lot of algebra, calculus concepts coming through for the math. Poly, PPE, Poly West, and Poly East. Those a lot of engineering students I could see going there because Poly is a big engineering school, and Buffet West and East is by the engineering residence hall. So kind of made sense why statistics or calculus was the most common math that they saw. And then West Campus is more, I think of more of a liberal arts school. So that's where it kind of similar online is a lot of the algebra. And then I want to kind of see subjects and concepts. So here are the 4 most common higher concepts that I saw. I also want to make a little side note. The biggest category in all 3 organized concepts were blanks, where I couldn't fill in because I didn't have enough information. So I did take those out. And then in the extra information, there was 1,519 concepts that came in that didn't give real concepts. They said homework, or they said a homework program, or they said a specific chapter and section number. and nothing else. But within these concepts, I was able to see, okay, calculus and mixed math sees a lot more derivatives and integrals, what I, being a math person, I could understand, but being able to see, okay, what kind of do they have in common and what's going on. For the next slide, I am only focusing on algebra and functions. So functions was the biggest one I saw, and I want to share that with everyone today. So in the bar graph, I put in the highest functions we saw, and that highest was students who just said functions, what can be very helpful but not helpful because there's so many different kinds of functions. And then from there, I was able to take the highest 4 out of this, the composite, polynomial, rational, and functions, to see when they come up throughout the semester. Sure. So when it comes to composite, it seems like the middle of the first 7 weeks and the middle of the second 7 weeks is where we see the most. And I'm thinking that compared to the section A and B classes. Where binomial functions, it seems like more students have questions about in the end of the semester than they do at the beginning. Implications. So from here, what I would suggest is when we're working on, or when the department's working on videos and handouts to help with students, working from the ones we see the most to the ones we see the littlest. So working at functions, working with composite, polynomials, rationals, and then going down the rest before we can cover everything in functions. Workshops, seeing when those things come in the most and doing workshops for students, not just review sessions, but specific concepts where they can get an hour or half an hour of extra help with that one concept. And then trainings for tutors. The department already does weekly trainings, and some every other week is concept based. So going with the when concepts come up the most, but also to make me think about is doing reviews with using like Khan Academy as something they can review constantly with so many concepts that the center sees when they're not working with students. So they're constantly being in the math brain mode or science brain, mattering on what concepts they tutor. And then next steps is if the department wants to keep going with a study like this, going to the other concepts and not other concepts and other subjects, but made me think about changing up the Q. And can do this 2 different ways. You can change up the OQ where they put in class and they pick what
I am live, right? Yeah, we just have to like
or
join the presentation.
have
Sorry
it
about
where
that.
all's good. Or they can keep the Q system as it is and have a tutor do a little Q for each student for there can be precise data on what they actually worked on. And then with the department is also TRL certified. The first semester tutors have to do so many hours so they can also incorporate when the students are working with the student, tutors are working with the student, and when they ended for extra information for making sure everything is in rules of the certification. I want to say thank you.
Thank you so much. So thank you for that, Jordan. So I have to say this is my first time participating in a virtual poster session, and that felt like a whirlwind, but in a good way. So thank you all for your presentations. Both Dr. McIntyre and I had an opportunity to hop around from room to room. I'm actually going to stop talking and turn over to Dr. McIntyre, and I'll say a little bit more to close us out at the end.
All right. I just wanted to congratulate all of you. You should be very proud of what you did. I know this semester was like none other. Just like Dr. McGuire, that was my first virtual poster session. And I just want to commend you all on your resilience and determination in making it work. We had all kinds of fun challenges to work through, and we all did it and had great communication. And I think you all, just the potential is limitless for all of you. So I wish you all the best of luck. I hope to hear updates from you all where your careers take you, and always here as a resource for you all. So I see all the applause and celebrations going up. It might be a bit much to unmute and do a round of applause, but want to thank all the guests, family members who were able to join us today. That is one of the great things about our virtual opportunity, is that I think we might have been able to expand our audience a bit more. We will be sharing recordings with the students. So if you weren't able to have a guest join us today, please share it with them. There's no way any of us would have made it through this program without all the support of our family and friends. And I also want to thank our colleagues. So every student in this part of the project has access to a professional mentor who's met with them multiple times throughout the semester and giving them feedback and encouragement. And so thank you all for doing that for our students. It really was great to see the feedback and insights, and having that other perspective to bounce ideas around was really helpful and benefited the work. So all right, well, I'll stop gushing. Dr. McGuire, what did you have?
Yeah, so just one more thank you before we move on, which is to Jody and her team, who have handled all the logistical um, responsibilities for today, is setting up the virtual rooms, making sure that all the Zoom links work, and making sure that we have facilitators in each room. So thank you to Jody, Ashley, Pinnock, Liam, Caitlin, for your support and making sure that this program went off without any hiccups. So thank you all very much for making this easy for Dr. McIntyre and myself. I also would just like to echo Dr. McIntyre and thank our mentors. Usually we have like mentors and program instructors like raise their hand. I think there's a reaction to do that. So if you know how to raise your hand or put a thumbs up, maybe. If you want to put a thumbs up, how about that? So we can acknowledge all of our mentors and program faculty who teach and work alongside our students throughout the program. Your support is sincerely and deeply appreciated. As you all know, I think one of the biggest strengths of our program is that we have meaningful and long-lasting relationships with individuals who are educators and scholars working both at ASU, but also across the Valley, and sometimes as well as in other states. And so we appreciate the support that you provide, and the mentorship and the learning that you, or the way that you help to expand the learning of our students in our program. So thank you very much for that. And most importantly, I want to say congratulations and thank you to our students. I'm sure it cannot go overstated, I think, how unique this semester has been. And you all continue to approach the project and your capstone experience with enthusiasm, with a level of dedication, a level of flexibility and creativity that I think I was just excited to see, and gave me also energy as I entered and worked with you all over the last 7.5 weeks. And so I know very few things feel like it's normal as far as celebrating things in this particular context, but we do hope that you will find time to honor this moment in some way, to reflect back on all of the hard work that you've accomplished over your time in the program, and that you are able to enjoy at least a moment of reprieve with family and friends and colleagues, because what you have accomplished not only today and throughout the semester, but over the program is definitely worth celebrating. And it has been our pleasure to be on this journey alongside of you. So there's just two more things before we wrap up. So first one is kind of an announcement. of sorts, which is at the very end, we'll ask all mentors, program faculty, and students to stay on the call so that we can take a photo. We may have to take multiple photos. I actually don't know how this works, taking photos in Zoom, but Jody will be here to assist us with that. Um, and also every semester during the capstone experience, we have an opportunity to recognize a student, one of your colleagues and peers, who is nominated by program faculty as a recognition for their achievement and contributions, both inside and outside of the classroom, to the higher and post-secondary education program. And so this year we'll have an opportunity to do the same. And what I'm going to do is just share very briefly what one nominator said about this particular student before I announce who the student is. And again, we and Lindsay, Dr. Dipple, who was on the call, normally does this part and does it much more eloquently than I do as I fumble through this process. But it's really an opportunity for us to recognize a peer who has made significant contributions, who has also impressed upon faculty with their dedication, not simply in this course, but throughout the program, and is therefore worthy of the nomination. We usually will hand you a piece of paper or a certificate of an award framed. We will have to connect after this in order to pass that along to you. But one nominator said about this student, that this student is extremely engaged. They also demonstrate a high level of intellectual curiosity, and they also not only work well with students, but embrace collaboration, and that this student in particular deserves recognition for their outstanding contributions that they made to the learning environment within and across classrooms. And so without further ado, that student is Dakota Weber. So let's give Dakota a round of applause. And also, Dakota, congratulations. I know you didn't know this was happening. You and I can connect after to make sure that you get your certificate and award. But again, congratulations, and for an award that's well deserved. Okay. Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So we're going to stop there. Again, thank you for everyone who came and visited with us. We'll ask for the students and program faculty and mentors to stay on so that we can get one picture, and we'll share that out with everyone as well.